G'day guys, my name is Wildcard and welcome back to my channel. Whether you agree or disagree, I do still appreciate you watching this video, guys. Thank you for being here and thank you for following my content. Today is it's Tuesday. It's News Day. So let's have a look at what's been happening in the world of rugby. Last week, so this week we've got round 2 of Six Nations to look at some of the fallouts. We've got Super Rugby kicking off this weekend and there's already been games cancelled. And then we're gonna have a look at some of the drama behind the scenes for Super Rugby New Zealand and some of the news from the Springboks team. So yeah, let's get on to this content. First up, the world rankings has shuffled around quite a bit after this weekend's games in the Six Nations. The biggest loser, Ireland, dropped 2 spots from 3rd to 5th after losing to France. France and England both benefited from, obviously France the direct benefit, and England probably the secondary benefit from Ireland losing. England did beat Italy by and then own themselves a tiny bit of points as well to stay ahead of France. Australia got a bit of boost despite not playing as a result of Scotland losing to Wales. Wales still too far behind to catch up to any of the team, remains at 8th spot. So obviously Six Nations had a pretty big round last weekend. First up was the Wales versus Scotland game, and this game saw Wales playing a pretty good game at home, much better than the game they played against Ireland. Dan Biggar played a pretty big role in this game, despite having a bit of injury. A lot of people said he should have come off the field, but I thought, you know, Biggar was pretty much too crucial for the Welsh team to come off, despite having a bit of a niggling injury, knock on his knee. And then also Dan Biggar, probably one of the moments that everybody almost lost their mind was the drop goal, which eventually saw the difference between the two teams, 20 points and 17. So the drop goal, I thought, was such a poor decision. And sure enough, a lot of social media and Welsh fans have the same thought. Basically, there was a situation where Finn Russell was yellow carded. Wales was 5 meters away from scoring a try. And Wales had a full-on penalty advantage. Biggar gets the ball instead of continuing the pressure, potentially getting another yellow card for repeated penalties, or getting a, because you already got a guaranteed kick, right? You could potentially get a try. Biggar takes a drop goal. Yeah, that was pretty bad. And then, yeah, leaving Scotland with about over 10 minutes to try to catch up to 3 points. Luckily, the Welsh defense, the Welsh forwards put up a good defense, holding off the Scottish team from scoring that 3 points. Giving Wales the win, but that decision could have cost Wales the game. That should have been at least a 5-pointer, if not more, with a second yellow card for Scotland. So a lot of people were losing their head over this, but luckily it did work out. Biggar, I mean he's the captain, big class. After the game, he was talking about he'd rather people criticize him. So earning up to maybe his own mistakes a little bit there. But yeah, congratulations to Wales, really huge win. Secondly, Wales is gonna be looking at getting a couple of their players back against England in the form of Willisi Halo. Josh Adams has been injured a little bit, and also Toby Faletau, and then Josh Navidi could potentially be back for the very shortly. So Wales is going to be a slight bit of boost for the team going into the England game. And then for the Ireland game against France, again, this was hugely criticized for the Irish team's performance. It was, Ireland had, if I was to tell you there was only one change between the Irish team against France, I mean in the starting team anyway, there's a bit of a change in the back, in the reserves. But if I was to tell you there was only one change in the starting team, that is Johnny Sexton, Joey Carbery for Johnny Sexton, you would not believe it. Because this Irish team was nowhere near as good as the Irish team that played against Wales, and nowhere near as good, even further back from the team played against the All Blacks. Whilst this wasn't an away game, the Irish team was lacking a bit of direction, lacking a bit of leadership, and lacking a bit of confidence to keep to their own strategies. And essentially Ireland was drawn into a kicking game with French, and something that the French team has been pretty happy to do, has been their core strategy for quite some time now. So Ireland was drawing the kicking game, and essentially, yeah, there was a lot of wasted opportunity being kicked away, and there was a lot of pointless kicking by the Irish team. And the probably one of the biggest criticism for the Irish team was that there was about 9 minutes left in the game. Ireland was down by 6. They had a penalty just outside the 22. So it would have been a good opportunity for Ireland to score a try, because they needed a try to win the game. And the decision on the field was to kick for 3. So, I mean, you still need, even if you kick for 3, right? If you think about it, you still need to score a try to win the game. I mean, if you get another penalty in the next 9 minutes, it's just a draw. So at that point, the mindset for the Irish team seems to be playing for the draw. And that is really, really a big mistake. A lot of critics came out and stated that was, I mean, just the mentality that you're playing for a draw against France already says something. And usually if you're playing for the draw, it's, yeah, your team is not going to pull out ahead, right? So Brian O'Driscoll, a lot of Irish pundits criticized this. But Andy Farrell, you know, came out being the coach, backed his team's decision, saying that, you know, things could change, you know, for the situation. He understands why the players decided to do that. But yeah, you know, the Heinz, I thought it was stupid on the during the game, and sure enough, a lot of critics believe so too. And then also there has been revealed how Johnny Sexton was injured. Good news is Johnny Sexton is not injured like badly. He put up his hamstring a bit during the training, and that is it. They just decided to keep him out of this game to keep him safe, give him a bit of break. But he's not like, you know, out for a long time, so he should be back in a couple weeks time. In fact, he's probably not going to be playing for Italy. Against Italy, he's going to be playing again after, so he should be okay. Give him quite a bit of a break just to keep him safe and healthy. Yeah, that's bit. So it's nothing like nothing's too crazy happened. He was just running around and his hamstring tightened up essentially. So England played Italy. During the game, there was a bit of a scary moment where Sebastian Negri, the the flanker for Italy, got knocked pretty hard. He was on the ground, and Ellis Genge went to kind of like save him. He thought it was choking on his tongue. He was like choking on the ground, so it didn't look good. There was quite a bit of like, you know, the medics came on, and it took quite a while to get him off the field. So yeah, it's good to see that he is okay, but this was kind of like the only moment that was looking a bit rough for Negri when he was on the ground. And England did manage to put up a pretty convincing performance against Italy. I thought Jamie George played extremely well. I thought Jamie George should be the starting hooker for England. So yeah, and Marcus Smith once again showed tremendous amount of talent. Unlike the game against France, where Italy put up a much better fight, the English team was pretty dominant throughout the entire game over Italy, to be honest. Set pieces, everything was executing much better than the Italian side. And then with that being said, the Italy's under 20 team was able to put out a historic win over the English under 20s team, 6 points to 0, just like earlier in the day as well. So yeah, that was something that everybody was hoping that the Italian, you know, seniors team was going to be able to draw upon the inspiration to beat England, but was not to be the case. Ben Youngs also became equal in caps for England's equal the record for the most capped English player, with alongside of Jason Leonard. Ben Youngs will be looking to pass Jason Leonard's record at 114 caps. So, because he's still playing, so yeah, Ben Youngs will be the most capped English player very shortly. And then we have the next one. There was a bit of criticism against, so this round was basically the Australian referee round. All the referees that was main refereeing the game were Australian, and Damien Murphy was criticized a bit for, you know. So basically, Jack Noel was getting a HIA on the field, and Damien Murphy went over and told him to, you know, hurry up or get off the field. And this was criticized by a lot of people. obviously, you know, player safety comes first. You can't just come on and, you know, tell a referee, and I mean, for a referee to tell a health professional to hurry up with their job when it comes to player safety. That is obviously a bit out of line. But this is, again, stemmed from the training that these guys get from Rugby Australia. There has been, this is not really Damon Murphy's fault, to be honest. Like, there has been a lot of just unprofessionalism in Australian rugby where they don't want stoppage, right? They think, you know, this stoppage is, you know, why the game is dying, because too much stoppage, you know, because they have to come up with some excuses for their poor management. But as a result, in Australia, the referee rushes through everything. Like, TMO decisions are rushed through. Everything is rushed through to try to please the fans. I don't know who they're pleasing. I'm a fan. I'm not pleased. I'm not pleased when the players you rush through a health professional. I'm not pleased when you rush through a TMO decision that I don't even get to see what's going on. Like, literally, in Australia, there were times they don't show TMO making the decision. They just, like, get the TMO to quickly take a look and then move on with the game. They hardly even show the replay, right? And then they just, like, like, I actually enjoy that, to watch the slow replays to see what's happening, whether the try's been scored or not. They don't even show that anymore in Super Rugby Australia. They just straight away, the TMO will say, yep, I had a look, it's good, and then they just straight away move into the game. Like, it's horrendous. But yeah, some reason Rugby Australia thinks that's the way to go. So this kind of stemmed from that whole idea. This is the same thing with injury as well. They're just like trying to pick up players off the field as quickly as they can so the game can carry on. So this is basically what Damon Murphy is taught to do to keep the game flowing, to reduce stoppage. And for me, I don't care about stoppage. I watch NFL, and that's like 2 hours of stoppage, and it's literally hundreds of times more popular than rugby. Stoppage is not an issue. It's the way you manage and marketing the game. Okay, when the game is not played by most of the country because it's only available to rich kids in private schools, maybe that's why nobody's watching, right? And then, anyway, next up, the England's gonna get a big boost as well for Manu Tuilagi coming back to the England. So why is this keeps popping up? This is so annoying. Manu Tuilagi keeps coming back. It's gonna come back, and as a result, apparently the sales director Alex Sanderson resigned. I don't think this is the actual reason he resigned. He's basically, I mean, doesn't even make sense, right? The club director resigns because Tuilagi gets put into England team. That doesn't make any sense. But I was doing some research. He was only appointed the director of rugby like last month, like literally January, like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. There's some issues there. Definitely not because the title says he resigned because Tuilagi gets put into the English team. Makes no sense. But Tuilagi is about to return to the England side, and yeah, Alex Sanderson resigning has to be something else. He only been appointed there since January, like 20 something. All right, so there's something else going on. I couldn't really find, but yeah, let me know what's going on here. But I'm pretty sure that his resignation is not because Manu Tuilagi gets caught up to the England team, because that's silly. England is going to tour Australia later this year. And before the tour, they're going to play the Barbarians, a game that was cancelled earlier this year for the second time due to the pandemic. But Eddie Jones will be coming out to Australia for a 3-test series tour. This will be pretty huge. Last time England came to Australia, clean sweep. In fact, Australia has never beaten England, never beaten England since Sir Eddie has taken over. So yeah, Sir Eddie will be coming to Australia to looking to continue his undefeated streak against the Wallabies. And then we have the report from Ninamba from the Springboks coach. I can't pronounce. I find his name extremely hard to pronounce. I apologize. Ninamba comes in. He kind of like had a review and preview for the Springboks season on the week. So one of the things that came out of his review was his rating for the Springboks team was 6 out of 10. So I thought, I thought the Springboks probably a bit higher than that, in my opinion. Probably like a 7.5, maybe like an 8. But after 6, I mean, he's being really humble. Obviously, he's the coach. He can't give himself too high of a score. I thought, to be fair, Nienaber is a great defensive coach. I believe he used to be the Springbok defensive coach, but the Springboks attack is really lacking. They have all the talents in the world, the best centers in the world, the best winger in the world, and yet they're hardly utilizing them in their attacking structures to score tries. So for me, I thought the Springboks attacking probably is a 6 out of 10, but the Springboks defense probably like a 9 out of 10. They only struggled against the Wallabies in their defense, where it looked, but even against the British and Irish Lions, their defense looked pretty solid. Against the All Blacks, it looks pretty solid. So only outliers against the Wallabies for the defensive effort, but in the attacking effort, I thought definitely could be polished up a bit more. Even with the kicking game, not really the best in the world. A lot of opportunities, decisions were made by not because of the opportunities that are available in front of them, but because of their habit of kicking the ball away. So 6 out of 10 for the attacking, 9 out of 10 for the defense for me, for the Springbok team. And also the Springboks has confirmed their kind of schedule this week for the this year's Rugby Championship. So they're going to be playing New Zealand 2 games in South Africa. And this is obviously because of the restrictions in New Zealand. So they're going to be playing 2 games in South Africa against the All Blacks. And there could be a 3rd test. Wait, let's see. So they're going to be playing Wales. They're going to be playing New Zealand, 2 games at home. So, but the restrictions is still going to be 2,000 people at the moment in South Africa. So, hopefully, the restrictions will be lifted, because that will be a huge boost for Springboks Rugby, having the All Blacks in town for 2 games. And then also, the South Africa will play 1 game in Buenos Aires against the Pumas, and then 1 game at home, and then 2 games away in Australia once again. This will be really tough for the Springboks. But I guess I thought about maybe why wouldn't they, I thought maybe they should play against Australia at home. But then I thought, again, that wouldn't be a draw, right? Nobody wants to see that. They wanted to have the bigger ticket game at home against the All Blacks, especially if the All Blacks are not going to be accommodating like visiting teams anyway. It will make more sense for them to just have the All Blacks at home and play Australia away. Sure, another year away against Australia, but overall, they definitely need the boost for the big All Black game at home. And venues, obviously, hopefully this cap gets removed. Still capped at 2,000 people, but having a full sold-out stadium for the All Blacks games will be quite amazing to see for everybody. And then there's confirmed Eben Etzebeth has been released from his contract in France early, and he's saying for his personal reasons he'll be back in South Africa. So yeah, this has been a bit of a controversy. So Eben Etzebeth was injured after playing against England, and he was out for quite a bit for France. And as a result, there was a lot of people in his French club calling him a handicap. Essentially, they're paying him such a salary, and he's not even able to perform because of his national duties. And then, as a result, they probably realized that they were paying him too much money they're not really getting his money's worth. So there has been a lot of talks about that. And then eventually, they kind of decided that, yeah, it was time to part ways. So Eben Etzebeth will be leaving the club at the end of the season. And he'll be back in there's no confirmation what he's going to do when he gets back. At the moment, it's said that for his personal reasons, he'll be just returning to South Africa. So there's no immediate plans for what he's going to be doing after the season ends. But Eben Etzebeth, it's a big loss to the French clubs. He is the best lock in the world, and the best South African player in the world at the moment. So yeah, big loss to the French, but they will be to the benefit of another team. And then yeah, for the Pumas, the coach Mario Ledesma has resigned following a terrible year last year. The Pumas won only 3 games against a Welsh team that was really basically stripped off the Lions tour and injury So there's one game that's probably the most impressive game they won against basically the Welsh C team, and then they've beaten, I think, Portugal, and then they've beaten, I think, what's the other game? There was another game that was in July that they won. I think it was against maybe against Georgia. No, Georgia, like, yeah, but anyway, they won, and it was a struggle basically. So it was pretty poor season. The players that played really well last year didn't really step up this year. Obviously, the travel schedule has been really tough for them as well. They've been away all season, being in lockdown bubbles all season. I mean, it's going to be really, really tough 2 years in a row to doing that. Ledesma, his highlight of this career came last year, beating the All Blacks in Sydney. So that was the first time Argentina ever beaten the All Blacks, and a huge effort for him. And not last year, the year before, actually 2020. So last year was a really tough year for Ledesma, and yeah, he decided to resign. He was we shall see. Maybe Michael Cheika will take over. We shall see who's taking over the Pumas. And then the Super Rugby opening round has been cancelled already due to Moana Pacifica had an outbreak. So the Blues game on Friday would not be playing at the moment. So New Zealand Rugby did this decision where they pulled all the teams together to Queenstown to try to keep everyone in a bubble. And as a result, ironically, as a result of the teams moving around, players are being exposed. And yeah, it's irony, isn't it? If it literally, the air traveling is like the place where everybody gets infected. Like literally, everybody I know got it from traveling in the Qantas lounge. They have the phone pinging them. Qantas lounge, Sydney airport is where everybody's getting it. So again, all these people traveling around actually got themselves in trouble is quite ironic. So the bubble it's already in a bit of trouble for New Zealand. Hopefully things will sort out and carry on. And then the Crusaders also going to have a bit of a problem here. In the opening rounds, a lot of these players are going to have some time off. There's big talks about Richie Mo'unga not going to be available till at least round 4. Ethan Blackadder have some time off as well. So all of these players have in their contracts a certain period of break. And as a result of the All Blacks playing like a long season last year, 15 games, these guys have the break basically allows them to take time off during Super Rugby. So these guys are going to be off till at least round 4 of Super Rugby season. So yeah, it's gonna be a shame that the All Blacks, the Crusaders, are not gonna have some of their key players for the starting few rounds. Kind of diminishing the game a little bit. There has been a bit of criticism for this, people talking about it, but I do think it's right. Players need their breaks, and it's not, it's just the way it is for all the games. Even in rugby league, the players get certain amount of breaks. The rugby league, it's even more preposterous. The basically one of the reasons, obviously, the Rugby League World Cup was cancelled, and one of the reasons it's cancelled is because Australian teams didn't want to go over, obviously, to England, and also because the Australian teams, they wanted to give the players the mandatory break before the starting of the NRL season. Yeah, so then they don't want it to basically have the similar situation here where players are not able to play in the start of the NRL season, so they just decided to not go to the Rugby World Cup. I mean, that's the Rugby League World Cup we're talking about. So for the Richie Mo'unga missing out a few Super Rugby games, just have to be the way. I mean, people are not happy, but that's just the way it is. TJ Perenara is injured for the Hurricanes. Big loss to the Hurricanes team. Yeah, and then Super Rugby has come. Australia has come out with a new collective bargaining agreement against the players. Mostly, just improved safety for COVID and a lot of boost for the women's game. Good to see, but yeah. And then also, as a result of the pandemic, there has been some talks of uncontested scrums. Should a team unable to play with so basically they have the team's allowed to put on like club rugby front rowers. Players, should they get shouldn't they become like test positive and not able to play to keep the game playing instead of delaying the game or cancel the game. So as a result, there's been talk that if, you know, players from the club rugby is caught up, this could be uncontested scrums. But I think they should just play a scrum. I mean, even their club rugby players, they still aspire to become a professional. And they should be contested scrums. Even if you're in club rugby, even if you get dominated, it'll be, yeah, it's still like, I mean, a lot of these players wants to be professional rugby players anyway. And it'll be a bit of a insult to them just to do uncontested scrums. Also, Western Force has been cleared to play some games at home. So the Western Force team has been working with Western Australia and the Western, you know, obviously this Western Australia is like kind of closed from the country, from the rest of the world, still in the bubble. They're looking at opening up. There still has a lot of restrictions, but they have been working with the government to give the permission to go back home to play the home games in round 3 onwards. So that's a good news. Tupou has had a bit of cheeky chat had a bit of interview. Essentially, obviously he's from Tonga. There has been that volcano eruption. He's basically so the Reds is basically donating $500 every time they score a try. So Tupou is obviously very involved in this. And there has been probably the most important thing coming out of this interview is that Tupou is teased about returning to Tonga, potentially for in the future. So that'll be interesting to see. Tupou is Tongan descent, and he's he's the best tight head prop in Australia at the moment. So yeah, we shall see how he goes. He might follow a lot of his countrymen's footsteps, go to Europe for a few years for the money, and then represent Tonga in the Rugby World Cup. That's 100% a huge, move for him. He could potentially be making more money there as well. So, yeah. And finally, Quade Cooper doing some stupid things again. He was playing in Japanese top league and he threw a NFL pass. But yeah, that's Quade for you, mate. That's Quade for you guys. He said he was caught up for the NFL Super Bowl, and yeah, let me know if you watched the Super Bowl. I did. I thought that was a bit of I thought the finish was a bit of a letdown, but great effort to the Rams. Halftime show sucked, absolutely sucked. Yeah, everything else the Super Bowl itself was pretty good overall. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Thank you for watching this week's news, and we're gonna have Super Rugby review this weekend. Thank you for watching, guys, and really do appreciate you being here. Cheers.